All right, folks. I know you've been waiting. You've been waiting for some game, and I got you covered for this weekend. You folks are going to be prepared for next week. That's right. The Qs, the SPYs ready. We want to talk about some gold, and any more tickers you guys want to talk about, let me know down in the comments. But I'm going to give you some game. I got about 2 or 3 setups right now today, and we're going to focus on these two, the Qs and the SPY. If you want to know how to make some money next week and how to execute some trades from here on out, this is the video for you. So smash that like button, get ready for some game, because I'm ready to give it to you. All right, get your notes ready. Let's dive in. All right, so first of all, if you guys remember, we did a video last week, right, a couple weeks ago, and we talked about the move from the SPY and the NASDAQ. All right, so we're going to start with the SPY, right? And as you can see right here, we talked about this bull flag that was forming on the market. Right, we said that we had this bull flag here, right? Big bull flag, very obvious, right? We have a very big move up into a range, right? That's what we have. Anytime you have big moves, you have a big move up into a range, or it could be a similar down move into a range, right? So you got the market going down into a range, right? Could be a bear flag, all right, and eventually goes down, all right? This is the big move down, all right? And of course, this is your range, all right? This is your range, all right? It's all about ranges, and you want to be able to play the ranges in between, all right? In between, back and forth, okay? In between, back and forth. Know your style of trading. This is not a trend. This is back and forth, all right? It's happening right here, back and forth. On a daily chart, this was the price action, the daily price movement range. All right, now what do we have right in front of us? Now this is very obvious for the SPY on the daily. All right, we have a trade called a breakout pullback. All right, the top of this line here, all right, this is resistance, top of a range, right above here with the white line for the box to the rectangle, right? Price breaks out of this box, which means that we have more buyers are taking over. All right, we squeezed above, we found strength. We made this pivot here, this view out and reversal. You see us oversold, we getting bought up right in the bottom of the range, the same way we talked about here. And this trade right here will be called, literally what it is a breakout pullback. Okay, anytime we have a big move up, remember, big move up into a range, it goes back and forth. But now we're breaking out of this range. All right, breakout pullback. Now we've already broken out. We talked about this video. Now you're going to be prepared for next week and what's to come. This is what you should be waiting for. Now, clearly, this is a breakout pullback. We broke out and we came back here. This is the premise, right? So we got two things that can happen. We can hold this 21 here, right? We can hold this 21. All right, this gray line is our 21 EMA. Okay. I use this moving average along as the Bollinger Bands on my trading view. The only two indicators besides my QQE module that I use here. All right. But we use these to get the best entries and exits on our trades. It's all about A+ setups and B+ setups. And I like taking trades above the 21 EMA, all right, for calls to trade the market upward. And when it's below, I like to take trades below. But it's all about location of the trade or of price and where we are. And we are on this, right, this grand scheme of things when we close at 765. Now next week, Monday, if we open up above this previous close, 765.72, we will, all right, start making our way back towards 667. All right, little $2 reward, and we got to get past that in order to see continuation. Now, if you're not understanding gamma walls and put walls, all right, this is a separate video that I will be making for you. But for those who are watching particular moves, this is the move you want to be watching. Now, let's go to the hour. Okay. And you see that same illustration, breakout pullback. It's just on a smaller time frame. All right. Each candlestick on this hour time frame represents 1 hour of trading. All right. If you're new here, that's what that means, okay? Each candlestick you see, red or green, represents 1 hour of trading, and I like to use the 1 hour as my entry point, the higher time frame for my bias, and my 1 hour for my entry point. I like those moves, right? Imagine getting it in here on July 30th and riding it all the way up here until August 5th. All right, that's 1 week. All you had to do was hold a trade, get into the trade, learn how to open up a brokerage account, learn how to execute a trade. First of all, learn what your platform is like, right? Take a mentor course, take a course from somebody like me, check out my beginner videos, and you'll understand some simple things. But you can hold these trades for a week and you would have made money even though profit was taken here. Price went down there. Price went down there. You still holding all the way up here. And so I like to take these kind of trades when I see them setting up again. So we have that possibly with the breakout pullback. We need to get above and stay above the 21 EMA here, right, at 766. We got to get above, all right? If we don't get above, what's going to happen is we're going to fall back into this zone here. We're going to fall back into this zone, all right, come back and retest it and possibly make a two-legged pullback. This is a two-legged pullback. Now, what I want you to understand about a two-legged pullback is if we don't want to just pick any bottom, we want to try to trap in liquidity with these patterns, all right? So, all right, what we do is we let the bears try once, let them try twice, all right? And now we know that their stops are where? The stops are right here. And we want to use those stops as fuel, all right? Use stops as fuel for the opposite side, all right? That's the premise behind that, okay? All right, because we know that they're there, okay? And we want to run those stops. But right when we start making our profit, okay, and we run up higher, all right, you're going to stop here, okay, and come back down to retest the breakout level again, okay? And this is what you guys want to be thinking about, just to continue higher, all right? These are the moves here. Now, I want you to understand that these moves are happening on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on an hourly basis. I'm going to remove all of these charts. All right, the same move that I just showed you. Let's just look at the chart here, right? Let's go over here to see. All right, are you ready? Okay, so let's just use any random moment. We're going to use this moment right here. All right, this moment right here. Now, this is going to help you identify patterns, right? You can watch this video over and over again, okay? But I'm looking for particular patterns next week, okay? Now, what we have here is a two-legged pullback, okay? The market pullback, all right? Two-legged pullback. And then what do? Two try failure. Let them try once, let them try twice, right? Head and shoulders pattern, and we go towards the upside, all right? Two-legged pullback, okay? Same premise on this side. Same thing on this side, guys. We got a bull flag. We had traders who chased, right? We got this move here. Okay, we know we got this move here up inside of a range. We know that we're trading inside of this range, and we're at the bottom of that range now, okay? And so anytime we have a big move down, we got to assume, because of market structure and price action and the nature of price and human behavior, that the bulls want to take this thing back to the top, because we have trapped rookies here that wanted to try to chase. Granted, we have to wait for market to open to see if price open above 765, but if we open above 765, there's a possibility, guys, that we could retest these highs. I haven't lied to you before, been doing this for a while, just to reject here at 780, okay? Just to go back down. We can stay in the range for the next couple of weeks, right? Because the banks, what they're doing is they're reducing their longs, all right, and reducing their shorts this week. Last week, it was the complete opposite, all right? 2 weeks ago, they were buying. We get this big explosive move. Now you have rookies chasing price, guys. This is the psychology behind it. And you don't want to chase price. You want to let price clearly break of structure, okay? Okay, if I can get price to break above here, price action, right, and come back and hold and create this higher low, all right, that's where I want to take my entry. If I wasn't in the move, I want to wait for a pullback. People might already be in over the weekend, but you didn't get in, so you wait for a pullback to retest the highs. All right, we could possibly reject here again because we have resistance. We could reject right there. Okay. We can reject right there. And so this is the move to watch for, right? Okay. Possibly coming back to retest this breakout zone here. Let you see this possibly. Everything is in fractals, okay, guys? The market is giving you hints, you know what I mean, and areas to look at. And you want to try to catch those areas, all right? Whether we pull back here and you catch that ride, or we pull back right here to this zone, okay? These are the two trades you want to look at for the upside, right? Downside is a little bit more different, because if we do decide to close below 765 and we want to retest that 60, because we have some gaps, guys. There are some gaps to the downside here that we have not retested. And so there's a chance that we could continue downward, guys, all right, to find this big move down here, all right, boom, all right, to retest these zones here you see previously, okay? There's a range there, all right, to retest these zones, catch that same hidden resistance, right, to possibly go back down. Now, these are my two trades that I wanted to talk about for the SPY. Okay, these are my two trades. And why does it matter? Because all we're doing is going over what has happened before and what could happen. And so the timing of this is what really matters. All of your inflection points, wait for the pullback. All right, understanding that we're in a range, we could rotate to the top. Don't chase the top. Wait for a pullback. If you do break out of the top, you want to wait for another pullback. It is the same premise, guys. You want to wait for a pullback. Those are my two trades for the SPY. I do see us coming back a little bit if we can. All right, maybe some data from next week and we get that pullback for the SPY. I want to try to buy the dip if we can close above that breakout pullback zone with some volume, the same way we did here, to get that big explosive move. All right, now that was the the SPY. Now here are the Qs. The Qs are looking similar for those who care about the Qs. Now it's a little bit more bearish when it comes to the banks. They had more shorts on the NQ than they had longs. All right, and so we are actually now at the top of the range, different from the SPY. All right, on the SPY we're coming from the bottom of the range, so there could be a chance that we could pull back down here, all right, to retest some of these lows. All right, and if we could do that, I want to try to buy these lows here. Okay, I want to try to buy those lows. All right, possibly. Okay, right here. Okay, same way it got bought up here. This is an area of interest for me at 670, right, 668. I want to try to buy that if we can hold, and I see price holding. It's the only way, right? But we are trying to rotate, and we are below the 21 EMA. All right, so that's a trade on the Qs. All right, we're in a big move into a range. All right, and you can clearly see that we could hold there or we could fall. But if we open below 713.44, you can expect price to fall and retest some of these lows in this thin zone. All right, so in order for me to take a trade on the on the Qs for a short, all right, price is going to have to convincingly break this very value area low of 709. All right, 709 needs to break convincingly for me to short this market, or else it's a trap to go towards the upside. But if we can break 709, I want to try to test the bottom so we can feel what the gaps towards the downside. Where are the gaps? All right, gaps get filled because there's an inefficiency in the market, and usually when price breaks the structure, it comes to find liquidity. All right, and this is where some of the liquidity is right here. Okay, right up in between here at 704, 705, 706. So if 709 breaks, these are my first targets. And if that can't hold, we are trying to retest the bottom of the range, of this big range here. Okay, this is the big range, to retest the bottom of the range. All right, and what else do we have? We can get a massive move if we can find ourselves filling in these gaps are down here. You see what I'm saying? We have a breakout, breakdown here. Okay, we have a breakdown. All right, we come back here, break out again. Similar patterns to retest that zone. Okay, that gap here, right? This is an area of interest that I want to buy from. You notice there's overhead resistance, same as on the SPY. You guys got to start noticing these patterns. It'll be really better for you, all right, to understand market structure and patterns. Okay, all right, because it's right in front of you. Area of interest to buy for the Qs is here if we get that breakdown. If we can hold here, all right, the previous bottom range, I want to try to buy that range. Watching these time frames, the higher time frame and on a smaller time frame for your entries is what's going to help you. Use the higher time frame, guys, for your bias, in a smaller time frame for your entries and your exits. All right, so you can understand what the direction is. Now, I want to go deeper. I wanted to make this video short for those who are watching for next week. This is the analysis for the Qs. All right, we have a lot of more things to talk about. Watch out for my post. All right, watch out for my post and understand that you never want to chase. All right, on the smaller time frame for the entry day, you have this on the Qs. All right, let's go to the 5 minute, also on the SPY, and you can see the same things. Let's remove these off of our charts. All right, we're gonna move this over here. All right, make it bigger. Thank you guys for watching the channel tonight, or whenever you decided to. Wanted to give you some game on the SPY and the Q so you guys can see what's going on. All right, play the video back if you need to. All right, and understand that we have entry day gaps towards the upside. All right, entry day gaps. Check out this. Check out this. Check this out, guys. All right, this is the volume profile. All right, the Qs have to get above 717. We could go back there and reject, but if we get above it and hold with volume, we are trying to make our way back to fill these gaps. Okay, 730 would be my first target with a break and hold over 717 and 720. You got to see that momentum. Got to see that momentum. All right, if you want to trade live with me, let me know in the comments. Join the Discord. You could trade live with me. Mondays and Tuesdays is when I trade live. So this is the trading setup. All right, waiting for the break. Patience is waiting for the setup, not assuming, waiting. All right, waiting for it to reach there. If you didn't get in, maybe it could fall back, but if it gets there and hold, don't be afraid, understanding that this is a thin zone and we could just continuously just fly back towards the upside to closing these gaps. We could do that to reach that 730 mark. Okay, now on the SPY, okay, on the 5 minute, what kind of volume profile do we have here? All right, we have a balanced market, which is a D shape. I'll go over these shapes in another video, but yes, you can use elementary shapes. This is a D shape, and right now we are in the middle of the balance. We have to wait for next week to see. All right, we are inside of this range area low and high, a range, and once we can break out of the range, we got to see. Remember, SPY is on the bottom of that range, trying to hit the top, remember? And so SPY could be trying to make a stronger move, maybe just to reject again around the call wall. We are at 765, and the call wall is at 770, I want to say, or 780. So we're going to be watching for this market to rotate towards those highs to maybe reject again around 71, 72, and 770. We got to be watching out for that. We got to be watching out for that. Remember, the high time frame says that we could be getting some more downside, but you don't want to chase, understanding that we could actually go higher next week on some data, just because options expired last week and you never know what you're going to get. All right, we could get a very explosive move. All right, thank you guys for watching. This has been an episode of the Unique Trading Group, the Insider Leak, how to trade next week. Hope this helped you guys, and I hope you have a blessed day. Remember, always define your entry, your exit, and your risk before every trade, and make trading simple. Check out the links below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and smash that like button, guys. Until the next time, peace.